Hello and welcome to the Clean Slate Theme Development Tutorial Series. My name is Adam, and in the last video we covered the basics of blog templates in Clean Slate, and in this series I am going to talk about advanced blog functionality within Clean Slate. So specifically what filtering blog posts via tags looks like, how to add a thumbnail image to your blog index page or pull specific content for your blog index's post excerpt, how to add that to your blog article page, and how to create accessible read full article links. Let's dive right into it. I'm going to return over here to the Statler blog here, and on your right that you'll notice they have this news by topic, and if I hover over this, I hover over this and click it, you actually notice that up here in the URL bar here they have tags. So it says /news tags equals CHE for chemical engineering. So in Clean Slate, we are able to add a label to a page. So for example, this is their news blog, and these are their articles. And a lot of these articles, for example, the most recent published one here has faculty and staff, MAE, research, and top as labels. So these labels, these page labels, are functioning as tags on their blog. So for example, if I wanted to pull only the tags with the that are top, that are labeled top, so I could hit tags equals top, it's going to filter out the only blog posts that have the label top in them. Now what if I wanted to filter based on multiple tags? Well, all I would have to do is hit a comma at the end of tags equals top. So this is my first tag, and then my next one is just going to be separated by a comma without any spaces, and I'm going to do top and research as my page labels or as my tags. And you'll notice that it's actually now pulling in more blog posts than before because it is matching both blog posts that contain the label or the tag top and research. Now if we wanted to limit this to only pull in posts with labels that have both top and research, not just top or research, we could say and then tags op. So this is the tags operator, and we could say so right now it is currently filtering for any. So tags op any is what it's defaulting to. If we want to say only get the articles with both of these tags specifically, we can say tags op equals all. And you'll notice that this is now only returning the articles that have both tags top and research, because they have to have both of those labels in order to return results. So before it was any. So any is the default. If you don't have it specified, it's going to return articles with top or research, and there's one other value there, and that's none. So articles that specifically don't have top or research in them. So any, all, or none are the tag operator values to put in there. So one other thing to note, that if you have a query string like this, I'm going to go ahead and remove these two here. I'm actually going to remove research as well, and then I'm going to cut the tags out, and then I'm going to go to the RSS feed here. You can actually also filter your site's RSS feed based on tags as well. So if I paste this back in here and it says tags equals top, it's going to filter my RSS feed to only display tags with the top, or tags or labels or pages or articles that are labeled with top here. So if you want to display certain news articles on your site's homepage or whatever, you can filter by tags with your RSS feed. The Statler College has done a great job of putting out their news by topic and covering all their tags. W Today has their all stories page with tags to research stories, health stories, athletic stories, etc., etc. All of those are done by page labels in the blog engine, the blog templates. So specifically, I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like here. If I'm actually, again, in the Clean Slate Toolkit views and then going into the blog index template here, on my R blog articles tag, you'll notice that there's these attributes. So limit, page, tags op, year, month, day, all that stuff. What that means is, so we were using both the tags and the tags op attributes here, your query strings in our URL. We can add any of these query strings to our URL to pass values to them. So if I go back to Statler here, and let me get some more blog posts here. So I'm just going to go back to our regular news page, and we have a number of articles here. Let's say we want to limit. We can limit them to 2 articles. So this is one way to show only 2 articles on this page, and then you have pagination going on here. So I just want to demonstrate that this is where that stuff is coming from. So we just typed in limit. You can filter it by page, and we did it by tags and tags op before. You can also do it by year. So if you wanted to have like an archive for your year equals 2018, you can do that to show only articles from 2018 right here. Stuff like that. Same thing goes for month and day. So now that we've covered a little bit about what it looks like to have tags or labels on your blog posts and how to filter them to customize what shows up, let's look at how to customize the content that appears on your blog post index. So again, for example, the Statler blog has both an image here, like a thumbnail image, a blog post title, and a short excerpt about what the blog post is about, right? So on our Clean Slate Toolkits blog, we are essentially outputting a little bit of different content. We have the blog post title, the author, date, and the first 2 paragraphs right here. So if I scroll down in my blog index template, what is driving that is essentially this code right here, right? So it's having a H2 for the heading, which is here. We've got our paragraph tag with our author's full name, the time of the article, the time the article is posted, and then we have this specific code right here, which is essentially bringing in the first 2 paragraph tags. Okay, we get asked a lot about how to add an image or a blog post thumbnail to your blog index page. And one way to do that is to do something like this. You would do image and then comma P. So what this is going to look for is it's going to look for it's selecting the HTML in this article body tag. And remember, the article body tag is this our editable region name article body. So this is our blog article template, and this is the main editable region for that page, so to speak. So we are trying to select the content inside of the article body editable region, and then we are limiting the what we're selecting there to 2 of these. So either 1 image and 1 paragraph, or 2 images or 2 paragraphs, or vice versa. So that is one way to do blog post thumbnails. That way is not exactly the most robust, because depending on the technical skill of your content editors, they might not wrap stuff in paragraph tags, or they might not insert an image. It just depends on who is uploading and editing the site. So let's look at what it looks like to make this a little bit more robust. So what I've done here is I've created some code right here, and we're going to insert this code into our blog article, blog index, and mock data files. I'm going to take this code right here for our blog article template and go ahead and paste it into our blog article template and then talk about it a little bit. So the first thing that you're going to notice is that it is surrounded by this R edit mode only tag. And what that means is that this is only going to show, the content inside this tag is only going to show up in edit mode. So from there, what we can see is we've wrapped it in a div just to give it a width, and then we have two editable regions. So I've called this first editable region blog post thumbnail. So I've created essentially a place on my blog article template for content authors to specifically put an image thumbnail for the blog index page. And I've even added content in this editable region, like default content into this editable region. So when they open the page to edit it, this will show up for inside the editable region. So they'll select that content, hit delete, go up to the image and insert it. Secondary, I've added this blog post index excerpt. So what I intend this to be is to be, for example, this content right here. You can essentially customize this content to show up and show exactly what's in this editable region right here. And again, I've added a paragraph tag in there to kind of explain what's going on so that they can type in there and see what's happening. That's what's added to the blog article template. Let's go ahead back to our code right here and add this to the blog index template. And I'll explain this as we go. So this is our W article body. And note here that when I paste this in, there is no rselect HTML tag anymore, because we are essentially getting the whole, this R article content name equals blog post thumbnail. We're getting the entirety of that editable region with this tag, okay? So similarly right here, our article content, we are pulling whatever is inside this editable region on this child page and putting it onto the blog index page. So if I save this and I save this and I go back to my blog and I go over here and I hit refresh, it'll say, okay, I am missing key blog post thumbnail, and this is where to put it under our article content. This is a pretty classic hammer warning. If you are missing an editable region key or something, it'll show you this here. Same thing for the blog post excerpt, it's going to be right there as well. So let's go ahead and go back to our file here, scroll down and grab our content for the blog post thumbnail and blog post excerpt, and then we're going to go to our mock data file and go to our content key here and paste that in, hit save. This is only going to do it for the first article here. So if I go right here, bam, there is my blog post thumbnail, and here's some content. And just to make this absolutely clear, what I can do here is I can just say, let's make hello world our classic text right here, right? And I say, there it is, hello world. So that's showing up right here. Obviously, to get this to display how you want it, you have to, probably edit the CSS and change maybe a little bit of the structure, HTML. But this is the basic mechanics of it. So if I were to do this for this one as well, I would go down here in my, let's say I want to go here and copy these article. This is the second article in this blog key, and I'd paste that here, and I'd say hello developers, and you would probably want to find a different image, but you guys will get the idea. So there's our first one, hello world. There's our second one, hello developers. That is essentially how to display a thumbnail image on your blog, and it's pretty robust. Keep in mind, we are not putting the this content right here. We're choosing not to put it, not to make it available, and only to make it available to edit mode. So we're not making it available to the public. You don't necessarily have to do this. Maybe you have a specific region for the blog post excerpt that's on your blog article page. But just as a demonstration, this is how you can kind of store content on a page and have it be available to other pages without having it be publicly available. So that's covering that. Let's move on to the last thing that we were going to talk about, which is these read full article links. For accessibility, any link that has the same text that goes to different URLs is an accessibility error. So in order to fix that, we can use a technique called, a couple different techniques. There's different ways to solve it. My preferred one is to use an attribute called ARIA labeled by. So in this demo, let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger for you all. In this demo, essentially, what is happening here is we have given the Storms Hit East Coast headline an ID, and then we have added ARIA labeled by to the anchor tag, and we've passed the ID of the headline to the ARIA labeled by. So that essentially says when a screen reader visits this link, it's going to read link, read more, Storms Hit East Coast. And it's going to make this read more link unique. We can do that also in our blog index templates for Clean Slate. So if we look down here, we have this read full article link, and let's go ahead and add an ID to our unique thing. So what our unique thing here is going to be is the article name. So if I look back over here, keep in mind this is very likely to always be a unique blog post title. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say ID equals, and then you can essentially pass any number of things in here for this ID. I always like to prefix my IDs that I'm using for ARIA with this type of ARIA syntax. And I'm going to say blog post ID. So I'm going to pass an ID here, right? And remember, each blog post and each page has an ID. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say R article ID right here. And this is going to make each ID on every blog post title unique, right? Because it's going to have a unique number right here. So now that I've added the ID to my anchor tag, what I can do is I can come down to my read full article and say ARIA labeled by equals, and then our ID that we just passed to our anchor tag up here to our post headline. What that's going to do is it's going to add a unique ID to here. Our read full article is going to say read full article, Modi Undi, whatever. So it's going to read the blog post title after read full article and solve that accessibility error. So a second way to solve that is to actually make the link text of this read full article unique, but only display some of the text inside there for screen reader users. So there's a way to do that with CSS. You can actually wrap some content in a span and give it the .sr only. SR stands for screen readers. This is some code from the HTML5 boilerplate, and it also exists in Bootstrap. But if you look in the main CSS from the HTML5 boilerplate, you can see this class and what happens here. We've kind of implemented this in one of our themes here, this UR Super Theme v2. If you go to Views and Blog Index and scroll to the paragraph tag where it says Read Full Article, there is this U visually hidden class, which is the same as SR only, where we are essentially outputting a colon and then the article name. So it's essentially saying read full article, and then for screen reader users it has a colon and then the article title. So I personally prefer the ARIA label by method because we only output the article title once in the HTML on the page, but this is also one way to solve it. So we've covered a lot about blog templates in Clean Slate. If you have questions about how to do stuff with blog templates, I would definitely recommend you checking out the Clean Slate help site. Click on How To's and Tips, Theme Development, and then click on Blog Templates. There are a number of links here that allow you to find code. They talk about tags, how to format stuff, anything you want. A lot of that stuff that we talked about is right here on this page, so I encourage you to check that out. In our next video, we're going to kind of expand on the R yield tag and learn how to yield places to yield content and HTML to other places inside your themes. So If you have a template and you want to put a script tag at the end or append a CSS style sheet to the head, we're going to talk about that in the next video. So stay tuned.